We're good to go, it looks like. All right, gang, what's up, guys? This may feel like deja vu, but we're doing another a little Felicia tutorial here. Part two here. This has been kind of a request out in the YouTube comment section and the Twitter streets. So we figured we'd deliver today. Got some time to kill, so we're going to take you guys through what's going to be essentially part two to the last version of this video, diving into our girl Felicia. So as promised, I think what we'll do today is really keep the focus more so just on her specials. And then also, if we've got time here, her supers as well. So just to please help me, the Rolling Buckler, or the Dancing Flash. And then the Super Saiyan, which is always a crowd favorite. So yeah, I think the goal of this one too, I actually made an agenda this time around here, so I had a little something to follow, unlike last time. But yeah, hoping to make this not too repetitive from the last video and really want this to feel like kind of like a double click or a double down on the last video. So what you guys are going to see today is this will include some advanced tips, a lot of around like fighting assists. I think there's been requests too for just like, pro level tech and just tips and tricks and whatnot. And so I think a lot of that will come up as well as we're just talking through things like, team chemistry, tournament viable technology, again, those advanced tips, and then, just ways to fight assists and maybe even some meter management too, if we're feeling froggy. But thinking this will be also part 2 of 3, with maybe a part 3 being more into specifics on like tournament level play and fighting god tiers. That may be more of just like a video based thing where we can just like watch the gameplay in action, but definitely thinking that's on the docket as well. So shout out to folks who were requesting this and that part 3 video. But without further ado, let's get into it. I'll shut up with the preamble and bump it into the mic here, and start streaming and start teaching, I guess. All right, so as you guys can see here, I also included just sort of a little special moves list and hyper combos here on the right, just for reference here. But I think in terms of the order here, I might start from the bottom and head up, just given that I think Rolling Buckler will probably require the most amount of time here. So starting with, what do we got here? The wall clutch. This is actually a fun one to start with. I got a question about this recently, either on YouTube or Discord. In terms of, is there any way to sort of do any, cheeky mix-ups using Felicia's wall cling? Short answer is like yes, but again, I don't know if it's all that useful in like a tournament setting. I think like it becomes more of a viable option if you have the life lead or the character lead. I think if it's like 2v1, 3v1, then yes. But honestly, it's such a heavily assist dependent mix up that it's almost not worth it. So I guess I'll show what I mean here in a second. So for the most part, I think if we're looking at a squad like mine, there's a weird feature with it where if I call an assist from the wall like Rogue, she'll come behind the character, right? So if I'm here and I call Rogue, she's in front of you. But then if I call from behind, Rogue comes from the back, and the combo's a bit different. Whereas like if I call from the front, I'm probably just gonna call, the kitties. So there's that with Rogue. But then if you call from the wall, sorry, it's Rogue again. If you call from the wall with Commando, he just comes out on the same side. So I would say, again, this may be very assist and like character specific in terms of how and where the assist comes out when called from the wall. Same thing on this end, it comes from left side of the screen. But then not for Commando. So yeah, I mean, if it's a fast enough paced match, like I'll sometimes go for things like this, right? And just like, oh wait, not like that. I'll sometimes go for things like that where you smack them down and then very quickly call the assist. But like, it's so specific to like be on the wall and calling at the exact correct frame that it's almost like there's a wealth of other mix-ups you can go for there, like just regular into Rogue throw. So it's almost not as worth it to even really try for that wall mix-up. Again, there are a couple instances though that I've come across where like I've gotten lucky and just been able to call or cling very low to the wall. There's like a couple of YouTube videos where I've done it, and it's pretty cool, but Like, I think it's like that, maybe. It's pretty cool, but honestly, like, not as worth it. Again, it's like just not, like, with a lot of her more like cheeky stuff, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. There's a way to, like, as you're coming off the wall, like, descend more. Let me see. So this is like regular jump off the wall, but then, like, oh, maybe I can do it from super jump height. Yeah, like the frame in which you jump and attack, if it's like timed well enough, you can kind of descend as you're coming off of the wall and kind of get a mix up. But then again, it's like if you have to go through all of that, it's like you just pick Magneto. So I say all that to say, like, yes, there is viability potentially with the wall cling, but not much. Outside of that, I think I kind of covered most of it in the last version of the video. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good for, you know, buying time, helping your assist heal, acting as a bit of a funky third jump, but then beyond that, nothing too crazy. But I do think that, like, at tournament level, this is something that you should be keeping in your toolkit, or like an advanced level. This is something definitely worth at least kind of mastering. Yeah, I think the best place to use it, I think, which I've been finding success is, like, if, like, you're up against the wall here, you've been, like, blasted up by an assist, and then you do that and come down. A lot of times it mixes up your opponent in terms of when and how they're calling their assists. So sometimes I'll be here and then do a wall jump, and then, like, maybe, I don't know, like a Cyclops assist gets called out in the direction that he wasn't intended. And so you kind of get like a free assist whiff, where, like, you made the opponent do something that they weren't really intending to do, because no one's expecting Felicia to, you know, do something like that mid jump, especially if you're coming off of like a commando hit or something like that. So yeah, I think that's it for old wall clutchy. Next we got Hellcat. Again, the only note I have here is just use sparingly for that. Again, it's like decent for, like, not taunting, but decent for, like, building meter, I'll say, arguably. Like, it does grab a chunk, it's fast, so you can whiff it a bunch. It doesn't make a noise, so if, like, the opponent's, like, really high, you can be whiffing this, but I'm much more prone to just do that, just because the input is much simpler, versus, like, this full, like, half circle thing that the Hellcat requires. I think the other thing I don't love is that the amount of meter build it gives the opponent just isn't great for the damage output. Like, I'd rather just, like, get as much meter or more by doing that, or just mitigate the meter build altogether with that guy. But really, if you got to be dependent on Felicia's throws, you got bigger problems, I think. No, JK, that's my girl. But yeah, if you're gonna be throwing, pick a rogue assist. I guess that's my takeaway for Hellcat. Excuse me. All right, so next up here we've got the Delta Kick. This is one I've definitely blasted a bunch, so I'll try to be a little bit nicer here this time around. But the Delta Kick, first thing I've got here is both versions are unsafe on block, and sometimes on hit. So I think, like, that alone kind of leaves Delta Kick out of the conversation in terms of any serious play. I think for the sake of introducing a couple of new things, I will throw in a nod about how there are times I will do things like, not like that, but things like, I just want to call commando. There are times I'll do things like regular magic series, and then that is kind of a cross up, if you're catching that. So the idea is that, like, if you jump and do Delta Kick, like if you overhead them and then, or just overhead them, if you jump over them and then do Delta Kick, you've done, like, kind of a double side switch. So if you can see, like, Guile's little head down there. Yeah, the short version will, like, do that, kind of hit them, but also kind of come back in a weird, unique way in terms of a switch. But the heavy version will actually, like, I'm so bad at Dragon Punches. I'm still bad at Dragon Punches, gang. But the heavy version, there we go. Oh, I guess the heavy version will hit him too sometimes. But yeah. Oh God. Okay, yeah. I'm like reversing. You have to do it facing the side that you're doing it over, and I keep, like, reversing the input for no reason. But anyway, I'll see if I can get the. Yeah. But the goal being that, like, if you manage to jump over them and then land a delta kick, it's a double side switch. So sometimes, you know, whereas like that in calling commando, they'll probably block it. Or like, oh, wait, let me see. Yeah. Like this in commando. Or like, oh God. Delta kick. You guys get the gist. Delta kick as you jumped over their head is a slight mix up. There we go. All right. The dragon punch motion on that one has me in a chokehold. But so yeah, there's that, right? Again, it's like very much one of those pieces of tech where you're just like, if you have to do all of that just to land like a commando assist, like it's not that there's a lot happening. It'd be a decent mix up if the recovery wasn't so bad. I think that's kind of my thing too. Where it's like even if commando hits, like you're not even in a place to really build much meter. But again, I want to introduce some new love for old delta kick here. I think the other thing too is like it is a decent triple jump, or maybe even I guess, yeah, this is their second jump. Yeah, I guess, yeah, decent triple jump. Because that'd be your double. Yeah. Just in terms of aerial movement again, better used, I think, if the opponent has less life and no meter. So if it's like cable with 0 bar, go for it. If it's sentinel, full bar, full health, maybe don't do it. The angle is a little bit different, but both are pretty telegraphed. You can kind of just do it like at the peak of a super jump, which I'll sometimes do like that. Or like just like very, very low after a super jump. Like that, but again, like just not worth it. Like even if you do land it, it's ultimately unsafe, right? You don't even get decent Oki. So, sorry, delta kick, but you know, I'm trying here. You also can't cancel it. I think is a worthy call out. So like I can't like, whereas like that's doable, right? With the rolling slide guy, not as much with the delta kick. It's also just not that great of an attack in terms of landing it on an assist. Yeah, I wouldn't even like walk through what that looks like because there's nothing interesting. But this does bring me to my switching over to the auto assist portion of the segment here. So I'll do that in a bit. But next up here, we got a Sand Splash. Sand Splash is great. I'm going to take a beat here to talk about Sand Splash as the assist and Sand Splash as the point. Only because I think if you guys saw the last one, I truly think if you're picking Felicia, the only assist that's worth picking is the Sand Splash guy. So for those reasons, I will talk about both versions of it here in a nutshell. So Felicia on point, Sand Splash again, just for a quick refresher. The distance is roughly the same. You're getting 75% of the screen. The damage, softer or light kick, heavier kick, bit heavier in terms of damage and frames in terms of how long the heavier version is out there. So if you're looking to spam the low guy. A couple other points though is that OTGs, which is really nice. I think we'll stick to just how it affects the point character. We'll start there. So at OTGs, which is really nice, things like really far away sweep can all of a sudden turn into that kind of side switch is there if he's not blocking, or if he's not the auto block. So it does hit on the ground. Again, it's very, very fast recovery. I think in terms of block strings, I really like it too. The chip damage. The chip damage is really, really gnarly on it. And it's also solid if you can just keep consistent in terms of anti-push blocking. Like if you know someone's going to push block you, you can at least get free chip on like a high priority jump in or something, which is a lot of times pretty critical for Felicia. So yeah, in addition to being able to chip, you can also cancel it pretty well. So there's like, let me see. Oh, cable's on auto block here, or get Guile's on auto block here. Auto. So something like if you're spamming your sand, which you probably should be in some capacity, you can kind of like cancel it. I don't know if I can. It'll cancel sometimes, and like, yo, Christianity, what's up, baby? Good to see you, Christianity. How you been, man? Welcome to the stream. We're doing a little tutorial guy here. So welcome. I'm gonna cut the chat box here. There we go. What's up, my guy? Yeah, so you can kind of like jump, or if it gets jumped, characters or opponents are usually set up nicely for kind of like a little capture snatch up like that. Let me get my little combo gauge back to normals. I was like, why am I not being able to do my super? My bar was empty. On top of that, too, I really like jump ins. It's really great for. I usually get this on Guile a lot, which is why I picked Guile as the dummy here on purpose, where it's like jumping in and you just kind of catch their little feet if they're coming in with like any sort of a projectile or like heavy kick or any sort of like a landing attack. It's also really good in the corner, too. That same like that'll combo really nicely. So if they're like super jump height and planning to come down with something, you kind of like can land it or time it to where it'll like hit and then like combo into kitties. But yeah, I think that's kind of it in terms of point sand here. I think in terms of assist damage, I think it has some pretty swaggy stuff here. So this is my same training menu. I think I might even just be able to play my little recording. Oh, nice. Okay. All right. So how do we? So that is kind of, I think, interesting for some reason. Like sand into kitties will snatch up assists for some reason, depending on the assist. But it does open up a couple of just like additional possibilities in terms of getting damage on assist. Obviously, you can do things just like regular sand punish, or like sand super punish. But I think, yeah, sand is pretty solid in terms of just like opening up either something like that, which is random again, very, very random. But then also just in terms of it being just a very, very quick assist punish, combined with something like a commando assist. You can kind of rack up some damage. Like it's not a bad poke in terms of just like really keeping assists in check. What I also like too about it is that if it hits the point character, it's like a full like character. It'll knock them like a full character space away, which I'll get into more a bit in a second here. Looking at my Felicia or my Sand Splash notes, I think that's about the assist is goated. That's what I have here. The assist is goated. So the assist version I talked about a little bit last time, but I'll kind of dig into a little bit more in terms of just sheer potential. I think if we're talking Rogue and Felicia, assist shell, simple things like just hop over, call Felicia. Magic Series is great. Things like hop over, call Felicia, side switch into like a reset is also really nice. So like to really get the vibe check on it, or really get the full feel for it. Let me take this little guy off of auto block. This one's kind of my favorite where it's like you character. Oh yeah, let me see if I can do it. Rogie. So something like that is like such a really good reset. So you get the Felicia damage, you get the side switch, and then you get it into like the assist cooldown is nice. I guess that's the other thing too, is that the cooldown on this is so fast that like you can set up a reset, do basic string, and like call commando, all in a pretty short amount of time, for like a pretty solid amount of health. So that's the first thing I think that's worth noting. I think the other thing that people don't talk about enough with this that I've used a lot, and I don't know if people just think it's an accident or maybe you just like blink and you miss it kind of a thing, but because of the way it hits, right, with the point character, it does a side switch as mentioned. It also has that same effect for like assists that end up behind you, which is an annoying thing that I'm sure everyone watching this has experienced. And so what I mean by that is getting a text message. So what I mean by that is like the Colossus assist is really great for this. So right, like even though Colossus is behind me, because of where Felicia comes out, it's possible that you can hit an assist that's actually behind you, right? And so what that kind of opens up, if you're rocking somebody like Rogue, like I usually am, and it like slaps him into that really lovely like infinite that folks have, or video made famous, right? So So in addition to knocking a what would be a character that is behind you back in play, you also can kind of like set up some pretty just good like damage potential there if you're using somebody like Rogue. In Commando's case, it's like less sexy, still pretty good though. Like I will usually just do like something like that. I think I can do Magic Series too. Yeah. Oh, see, yeah, Commando's weird. Eh. Oh yes, yeah. Commando can get a little Magic Series, so it's doing that too, which is why just like reason number 1,000,000 why just don't use, just don't use her A assist. Use the B assist if you're using Felicia. I gotta like underscore that a little bit more here. On top of that, I'm just gonna switch Felicia a second here. The OTG is just really good on it. Commando has just like such a great sweep. Like there's been so many times where I'll just do like sweep into Felicia for just like pretty gnarly damage. Things in the corner are really nasty too. It's just 80 damage just from Felicia landing her awesome OTG. So highly recommend the Sand Splash assist for a few different reasons. It's also just really great in terms of the chip on it. I think things like oh wait, like all right, he's push blocking. I think just things like those two together, Sand and Ninja Dude, is like decent chip. So on everything else, really great chip. It also, the push doesn't affect the point character, which is nice. So like if it's a really nasty scramble and I want to get the opponent to waste a push block, it hits 2 frames. I can kind of keep my pressure going here with that. I think the other thing too that's kind of fun, which I don't know if I'll be able to make happen with Guile because he might be too little. But you can also just randomly combo from it, where it's like that into Mummy sometimes. Yeah, it's a weird one. But yeah, I think all in all, things to remember about the Sand Splash assist is that it comes out a little bit further behind the character. Probably better shown with like a Rogue. Commando's out front, chest out. Felicia's kind of more behind the scenes. And just easier to protect. I think because of the way it hits too, you can usually confidently standing block against it, which is kind of a random thing to give an assist a point about, but it's a low tier assist, so we gotta take it where we can, right? Just because it like hits so low and covers your feet really nicely, like there's really no need to call it and be crouching, which is maybe true about a decent amount of assists, but I think just not having the crouch frame or the standing frames to waste when you're blocking and calling an assist is underrated. So just another point there in terms of defense and when you're calling the old Sand Splash. Also like this move with Rogue where I'm like, or like this one here where it's like, like the double side switch. Kind of to my point about Felicia's random ass like aerial side switch. It's like, yeah, it's weird. But okay, I think that's it for old Sand Splashy. Next up we got Cat Spike, which probably should have been before Sand Splash, given how just okay it is. But there's 2 versions of it. I'll try to make this one quick too. There's that one. Wow, 2 Dragon Punches in a row is record breaking for your boy. Of the 2, this one has the side switch, which I mentioned last time. Anyone that's like at a decent level of play will likely see this coming. But if you're kind of playing a little bit more casual, it can be like a fun thing to mix folks up. Her alpha counter is this attack as well. So in the middle of a scramble, if you're Rogue or Commando in my case, you can alpha counter into that. You can also super... did not mean to do that. It's supposed to be Dragon Punch, if I can do it. I don't know. All right, you can cancel into it, or you can cancel into supers from it. And then the shorter guy, someone asked me, I think on Discord the other day, like, oh, what's the cat scratches for? I don't think they're in the game. If I had to imagine what Capcom was doing, I think it's maybe just for like decent Oki, which as a fighting game player, I'm probably never talking enough about. But the Oki is like, you get a little bit more priority in terms of after knockdown, which is good. Let me see. That one in particular, I think is good for that. Like of the 2, I'd say like the short one is a little bit stronger. In terms of like block stun or block strings, I think it is. Oh, it's on. Okay, cool. In terms of like block strings, like it does kind of cover ground a little bit. Like this is another one where I'm always trying to like find like a use case. But overall, it's like, yeah, it's there. But again, I think at high level play, yeah, again, the note I have here is no tournament viability. Startup isn't great. Decent as an alpha counter. I think the active frames, I guess, on it in terms of when you're hitting the opponent, maybe a bit earlier than Sand Splash. So that may be the only argument I can give for it. I think if you're talking like more general strategy for Felicia, it's going to be a pretty linear kind of approach here on the ground. And so I think like the developers are like, well, let's give her a bunch of unique ways to slightly advance or attack the space in front of her that feel like mix-up-y, but it's like if you're seriously trying to like win some stuff with Felicia, I would definitely deprioritize this guy. Like I think maybe there's like a hit, like that's kind of a thing, but even that's like, even that was like a headache to land. Let me see what yeah, even that's like it's a lot for not much payoff. All right, so next up, what do we have here? Oh, Roland Buckler, last but not least, good old RB. So Roland Buckler's a crowd favorite, I would say. You guys know it and love it, but you got your short Roland Buckler, you got your long Roland Buckler. You got your, I guess we'll say, you got your super Roland Buckler, that guy. Excuse me. In terms of use case, I think the best thing about it, or one of the most underrated things about it, is the ability for it to side switch from below. So I think that move, like that kind of maneuver has definitely at least kept things, I don't know, interesting in terms of high level play, where like, you know, you got a Storm or a Magneto, a Sentinel that's like kind of like zipping around, flying above your head. This is a very nice command normal in terms of ways to just kind of get around on the ground. That combined with like not a rogue assist, but I'm trying to like do so much. There you go. That combined with a commando assist can be pretty frustrating. I've used it a ton just on like incomings and also just like characters that are coming down from like that height, you know. So there's that in terms of a maneuverability option. It also does hit grounded, which is lovely. I think in terms of potential to bother assists, a lot of good potential there too. I think just in terms of all the same properties apply for the most part. I guess Felicia's like assist or infinite thing. I can never resist doing. And then yeah, overall variety I think is the biggest thing there. I think you can do kind of a deeper dive, I guess, on the use cases for each. All right, so yeah, uppercut is good as like a slight anti-air. Oh, what if I could guard break that? Nico Punch is going to be your priority engine here. So if you're landing this and they aren't push blocking, let's do random. You are still pretty positive there. I think if you're talking like how one should be using this in the neutral, or if you're trying to really be serious about like, you know, winning a tournament or something or up in your rank, is things to note, I guess is what I'll say. So the short and the long version have the same like audio animation. So as far as the distance traveled, opponents typically don't really know. I think that's like kind of one of her more underrated mix-ups is like, sure, you maybe have played Felicia, you know she has a low, you know she's got a punch, you know she's got an uppercut, or two uppercuts. But you don't really know like what's really gonna happen at the end of that string when she's barreling down at you after you've like been blasted in the air, you know, by commando, right? So I think that's worth keeping in mind. I think like a whiff punch is always a good pick. It's fast, it recovers really well. Again, it like her roll, like, which I think is worth talking about, triggers. As you can see, like Guile's block kicks in regardless of if you're holding back, you're gonna get into the block animation, right? Yeah, so something to keep in mind there. Because the opponent doesn't know the distance that you're going to travel, you can kind of like do that. They may counter call an assist, which will then open you up to kind of like, you know, getting a free hit with a commando, or maybe you just do it just before, hop over them, and kind of just like get a little bit cheeky, a little bit cat and mouse-ish, I guess. Again, it's positive on hit, which I really like. And it's more positive than the low, even though the low is the low. I think that's mostly it. I think the only other thing I didn't maybe flag last time is the potential for that little pop-up is my favorite. Lots of folks will hit coming off of like a grounded Nico punch roll. So I think that's mostly it for the old rolling buckler. Movement option, roll distance, the super cancels too. So yeah, in terms of attack variety, this is something too that I'm always really big on. It's just like canceling into these supers. I think if you're talking like characters like Cable, that's particularly useful. And folks like Doom, right? How many times has Doom been above you, throwing down a finger laser? This is good in terms of if you want to just cover a lot of horizontal ground quickly. Just going with that, and then like followed by like the super version. Another one I really like is rolling into sand. This one is relevant because just in terms of if you're planning to DHC out, the move is a little bit stronger, depending on like where you are DHCing from, like where Felicia is standing, I guess is what I mean. So like if I do it from back here, Rogue has to kind of like travel a bit further. You're still positive, but not as positive as you would be had you done it maybe say here, for example, right? Like this is like max positive frames there. So the thing with that is like it's often, you know, decent practice to first roll and then do the super, just so that you're as close to the opponent as possible, should you plan to DHC out into someone like Rogue to kind of keep up some of that pressure. So just another thing to kind of think about in terms of, again, like the amount of ways you can kind of cancel out of the rolling buckler and what your opponent may be used to or expecting. That cancel is probably the one I use the least, even though I do continue to think that there's potential in roll canceling into the kitty super, but you know, what do I know? All right. Only other thing too I did want to flag, which I think is probably one of the more important ones as it pertains to the rolling buckler slide guy and how it affects assists. I do want to make sure that there's a call out for all of these. I guess yeah, the only really assist worthy ones talking about are Sand Splash and Rolling Buckler, but I'll showcase the Rolling Buckler of it all here in a beat as well. I think what I'll do is take Guile off of all block, and then I'm gonna swap him out. Here's what we'll do. I just change character. I'm gonna put Spiral next. I feel like I got all of my Colossus points in there. Yeah, but basically the point that's about to be made about the slide attack is that it's whatever, Guile. Is that the slide is the closest thing Felicia, or probably her strongest tool in terms of snapbacks. So I do want to make sure we touch on some snapback action. I can't believe I didn't right here. Snapback, my one in.
I'm impressed.
The battle for survival begins. Engage.
All right, so in terms of the old the snapback, like this is the closest Felicia's gonna get to being Magneto. So yeah, this is a technique. If we're talking advanced tech, I would say learn this. Like this alone here has stolen me a ton of matches. don't even think you need to do the... Oh, so yeah, you don't even need to do the kitty super every time. It's easier if you call the kitty first. For whatever reason, the effect that it has on the opponent is really, really lovely. So yeah, that's the only other major call out there in terms of the sweep, is that it does have a really solid ability to I'll do it from over here too, to open up like OTG capabilities, and then even from mid screen too, it's not bad. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so learn that for sure. I think just if we're talking like general strategy, just being able to navigate the world of the role does help elevate her pressure a little bit more, I would say. Versus like what I tend to see a lot of Felicia's doing is just like jumping in, which is just not great, especially if you're going to be jumping in and not doing that, or not doing, you know, like a low or something too, which most Felicia's don't. That's this guy crouching. All right, cool. I think that's it for all of her supers, or excuse me, all of her specials. I think we can probably just jump over to the supers here, which are still on screen, because I was like, I didn't write really any notes for the supers. I figured this would be kind of a quicker one to go through. So yeah, Felicia supers. Let's chat. All right. I think as we know, her big three are going to be Rolling B, or excuse me, Dancing Flash, Super Rolling Buckler. You got your Sand, and then you've got also your Please Help Me Kitty Litter. Or sorry, Please Help Me Kitty Pack. There we go. Yeah. I think the last time we went through this was just mostly like, how do the attacks function? I think now is probably just a good time just to, I guess, give the attack its flowers. I'd say, like, if you are playing Felicia, you should probably be building most of your strategy around Please Help Me. I think I'm going to start with Please Help Me just for that reason, because the damage on it, I think, as most people know, is just insane. That's just like, I guess the standard is, what, 31 hits with no mashing is 53? Then the huge one is 59, which is also pretty sick. And then, yeah, in the corner, combos very easily. Everyone knows about the famous OTG and the infinite there. I think if we really want to do max damage, that's 100 and not even do the sand extension. Let me see if I can. Nice, so 110 for a Magic series. So again, I would just say, like, generally speaking, spend time trying to figure out how to combo into and out of that. I think the other thing too, from the sand is so difficult. Shout out to Rogue and the assist glitch as well. I think that's the other thing that's worth calling out, is that, like, in addition to the damage that it doles out by itself, you should also be looking for setups that will very easily combo the OTG or take advantage of the ability for, the OTG, the DHC damage glitch. Like, just look for opportunities to really take advantage of that. Like this little guy here for Commando is good. Which is just, what, 2 bars. So yeah, lots of flexibility with the attack in the corner, especially if you're thinking about all the ways to really just, like, land Sand Splash. Like, things like that just combo randomly in the neutral all the time. So worth thinking about here. So yeah, big shout outs to this guy. I think the only other thing is too, as you guys saw a second ago, with the spiral assist, is that the kitty litter, or the kitty helper, this guy, does just stun the enemy for whatever reason. So see if we can get Colossus in the second seat somehow. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, things like that, right? Like, I don't really understand it much. I won't get too philosophical about it. But lots of potential, right? Like this ability to kind of like freeze your opponent using this random kitty isn't the worst tech I've ever heard. So definitely, again, just something really worth playing around with at Laban, both from a assist and a point character perspective. I think that's about it for Kitty Helper. Oh, only other thing for Kitty Helper, which I think I showed before. There's really weird synergy where you can combo into it off of a standing dancing flash because Rogue kind of pushes the opponent out and stuns them a bit long enough for you to kind of get the Kitty Helper guy in there. So yeah, Kitty Helper repetitions are also just a good time. Like if you are wanting to... Oh, my meter. That's what's happening. I was like, why can I not combo there? Which actually like repeats the cycle here too, so you get like 2 kitty helpers in one combo. So again, yeah, definitely big fan of the kitty helper super. I think if you aren't using it in your everyday routine, making a huge mistake. You heard it here first. All right, next up we'll do Dancing Flash because that one feels like it's a bit more on the nose. However, I have been experimenting with some Dancing Flash tech, so I'll walk through some of that right now. I'm gonna take him off auto guard because a lot of the tech around Dancing Flash, I'll say, is very outside of just like landing the actual attack. Like, obviously, that's a thing you should be doing. It also has a pretty good solid amount of like mix up, which I like. So what you'll often see folks do when they've gotten sort of the hang of Felicia's, I'm trying to OTG you with my sweep game, they'll just like roll a lot. Or maybe that guy won't. Let's throw recovery. There we go. They'll roll a lot. So like this guy, And so what I love doing, which is really great for like folks that get used to this. Oh wait, no, duh, you can't OTG that. Is to how you do it? Oh wait, there you go. You essentially have to chase the roll, so you like wait for them to kind of get behind you. Maybe I can do it. There we go. So that's what you're looking to do, right? So as you can see, after the dude goes and rolls away, Felicia kind of chases him down. It's really ambiguous on the stand-up. Like, I'm convinced that it low-key hits, like, on both sides somehow. Because, like, truly 9 times out of 10, most people won't really negate that mix-up in the way that you would think that they would. You think it'd be more of a 50-50 block situation, but it almost never gets blocked. So that's one thing there. But then also, if you have ever seen me play with Commando, something I've been trying to really integrate more recently is just some variety behind that like OTG string, which ain't bad, right? And then there's like that in terms of talking about Dancing Flash. So good damage. I think if you're landing something like... if you're landing something like this, like basic ground magic series, if I could land it, there we go. Basic ground magic series, 80 points isn't bad, or 80 point damage isn't bad, and then depending on who you have second, like Rogue or something, that escalates pretty easily into some pretty solid damage for 3 bars. But the tricky thing here that I'm looking to kind of incorporate more was not that, but more so like just delaying when you call the super for something like that. So that's kind of just like a nice like little reset guy off of what most folks are used to seeing, at least folks that play me with Felicia. So just another piece of again just like very, very deep niche low tier tech, but I think that's mostly it for Dancing Flash. Things that it doesn't do that I wish it did do was hit airborne opponents the way that Rogue's auto combo super does. All right, so I think last but not least here we have Hyper Sand or Super Sand Splash. Yeah. All right, cool. So Super Sand Splash, again, probably the super that I'm most frequently using, even though kitties are much stronger. Sand Splash is just really, or Super Sand Splash is just great for in terms of just the amount of potential use cases for it. I think the fact that it sticks out after Felicia is gone is huge. Yeah, the amount of potential with this super is just insane. I think from just a sheer assist punishing perspective, you truly cannot go wrong here. I guess you can. If you're using it and then canceling it out of it, then you really can't go wrong. Most opponents are kind of free to it. They don't really expect it to be something that you are using they don't really expect, I guess, Felicia's to use it so liberally. At least not Felicia's like me. We'll say. But I'm gonna pull open like a little colossal guy. I think the only other thing worth mentioning is that it does hit. Oh, I need Colossus again. Oh wait, I know. Oh wait, I need Colossus second. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, it hits behind you, which I think is so lovely and kind of like a nod to how her assist works. So yeah, just another call out for that is that in terms of punishing, it does like punish everyone that's standing on the ground. I think another distinction worth calling out is that in terms of blocking it, or the way that it hits, is that like whichever character the sand hits first, that is the character where like all of the block stun will be focused, or all the hit stun will be focused, I guess is what I'll say. So since Colossus is first, I don't think, or I guess, yeah. Oh, wow, does it, oh, nice. Yeah, I guess Guile does still take that chip. There is a weird property, though, where it's like if they're both blocking, like only one of them is in block stun or something like that, which is worth noting, but it doesn't honestly really come up that often. Other things of note is it's really solid too if you get both characters and you kill the point character. It sets up just a lot of potential for capitalizing on like killing the assist that's out there. Harder to kind of showcase that in a training mode, but it's definitely something that is there of the world to kind of help, again, just exist or kind of help provide like kind of a double click in terms of some advanced strategies. I think actually as we're talking about it too, the only other thing too in terms of supers is this is really good in terms of taking out assists. So I do want to showcase that actually. So just like how much potential damage. I don't know why I keep doing the kick out orders incorrectly, but yeah, it's essentially just kind of like a mini BB Hood Juggernaut kind of a team super. Where depending on the character, sweeping them first can really take out a decent amount of damage. Colossus is of course probably the exception to that rule. And I honestly think like it hits more potently with Commando on point. So I'll say too, if you are playing Felicia and looking to team super, yeah, with Commando for some reason it's like a bit more of a threatening experience. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna head over to some ranked, but feel free to stick around, guys. The stream is not stopping.